Do you prefer vintage vehicles or modern vehicles? Would you like to hop in each of them?
Yeah, I'm more of a vintage guy. Like my era growing up was like 70. Well, I was like in my 90s was when I was a teenager. Rotaries were cheap, so I was always like connected to the old Mazdas from the 70s, RX2s, RX3s, because you could get them for a couple of $100. So yeah, I always like the vintage stuff, but now the technology, like honestly, I find like almost frustrating with like all the cameras and stuff and the beeps and all that, like the process of just putting a handbrake on. I'm like the worst person in a normal road car. Hence why we get a McLaren and just strip everything out of it. I'd still say my favorite is the Mad Bull. You know, that's my first drift car that I built. It's a RX-7 I purchased for $5,000. Yeah, and it's like this thing that's, you know, it was the car that's introduced drifting to the Festival of Speed, 10 years ago. It's also the car that introduced me to drifting. You know, we've won some crazy championships. We've created some amazing milestones with film shoots. I've wrecked into the wall like countless times. It's like without Mad Bull, like I wouldn't be here. So Mad Bull's definitely the answer.
There's a screw in your ear.
Yeah,
I've always wondered, is it just a regular screw or is it some crucial?
Yeah, it's just spares. Like when you're building cars and breaking cars, you always may need a spare screw or zip tie. So what got me into drifting, man? I grew up with my mum, never met my father, no one in the family into motorsport. Chased the dream of my inspiration was Ricky Johnson, Truman McGrath, California motocross heroes, and I wanted to be a world champion in California. And I broke a lot. Well, mum couldn't afford the racing, so I got into the freestyle movement, the Crusty Demons. Broke just about every bone in my body. 2002 had a really big crash, compressed and fractured 4 vertebrae in my back. Got told I'd never walk again, and that was when I was like, man, I gotta find a bloody sport that I can still get the adrenaline and the entertainment, but it's a little safer. So with age comes the cage. About that point in my life, I discovered the DVDs of the Japanese drifting, and I'm like, fuck, they've got a sport for this. So that was when I brought Mad Bull for fight. Like literally sold everything we had: TV player, DVD players, VHSs, like all the freaking fold-out books with CDs in it. Like sold everything to be able to pay for that RX-7, and that's what got me into drifting. But for me, it was more about the entertainment side of it and the circus side for drifting, because you have, to be successful in racing, if you're racing, you need to be standing on the podium if you want to get exposure, right? With drifting, it's not about who's got the biggest budget and the fastest car and the biggest team with all this data and technology. It's more about like personality, character, and I was able to make a name for myself with just being unique. Like I said, doing rotaries because I love rotaries. That kind of separated me apart instantly. But yeah, now we've been doing this for 17 years. Been picked up by Red Bull pretty much from the get-go, and been able to really fuel my career. So yeah, that's why. And then I still enjoy it. I still get the same fear. I still get the same adrenaline, the same nerves doing the drifting as I do freestyle motocross. So the Lambo's just kind of been. We've still been using it a lot back home in New Zealand. We've kind of been using it for like Make-A-Wish Foundation. A lot of charity stuff, because a lot of people still love that car, and but yeah, it's not here this weekend. So the McLaren is just shy of 1,000 horsepower. It's 1,200 horsepower at the flywheel if you're measuring it the same as McLaren would. With a 3-rotor, so it's a 2,000 cc. So pretty much half the size of the V8 that was in it, but it's got twice the RPM and twice the excitement. For so many people know McLaren as like just a high-end supercar, but Bruce McLaren, the founder of McLaren, was a fellow Kiwi, like proper legend. And New Zealand, we're a pretty small country, so to tell that story, I'm always one that loves to tell a story, and so to carry on the legacy of Bruce, or tell the legacy of Bruce. Goodwood circuit is also the circuit where he unfortunately lost his life. So there's a few connections, and plus, like, we've done a Lambo, so let's step it up and do the Macca. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, man?
Next car tu will put a rotary king.
Already cycling those. So he's asking what's the next car for next year. Well, it's already cycling. I always got ideas. Like literally the second I'm pulling covers off the project we're revealing, I'm already thinking about what's next, whether it's changing the one that I'm revealing, like shit, I would have done this different, or if it's something totally different. But just so you guys know, like Goodwood is the event for me. Like it's the number one event, it's the priority. When it comes to pitching our hectic calendar every year, I tell all my partners and they all agree that Goodwood is the best. So the fan engagement, you know, from coming up here 10 years ago and being a bit of a riffraff. You know, Red Bull like to do stuff that's a little bit different. It's been cool to kind of go from like the, you know, Hoon trying to stay off the grass to literally the Duke giving me freedom of this place to just tear up the grass, smashing through fences and just creating cool content with Red Bull. So yeah, it is the number one event.